Today we're gonna do a little bit of a series recap. We're gonna do the Racing Joker Rewind from actually before 2017, way back to the beginning, the big bang of my life. And we're gonna chat about what got me to the point I'm at today, specifically as a car guy, as an automotive YouTuber, automotive creator. So sit back, relax. Let me tell you an interesting story. How did we go from watching The Fast and the Furious 2001 at the age of 3 to building a BMW M3 GTR?
Suspect vehicle is a black BMW.
All right, let's schedule this, the ZF8 speed video. There, we'll still have to add the end screen and stuff like that, but that'll be done uploading in a couple hours. It's 100 gigabytes. And now we can start converting the clips I need for the next vlog. So convert all. All right, morning chores with editing, scheduling, converting, and uploading is taken care of. Now we can get on with the day. And first things first, let's start off the day by going to the bathroom. Oh no! Oh, these are already done. Never mind. That'd be like a jawbreaker. Hey, what are we doing today? Are we painting or are we taking down walls? We're eating first. You're also like dark and mysterious. There you go. We're eating first. Yes, we primered walls and we're gonna actually use color and all kinds of stuff. Might even put together my chair today. We have one bar stool left to put together. Nickelodeon. Hi, puppy. Welcome to the next episode of Home Ownership. Hey, Pooch. You ready, Pooch? Yeah, you're gonna have room to run around. See? Humvee. Oh, shut up, Siri. F off. Dumb phone thinks I'm talking to it. Humvee for sale, Weston Champlin, where are you at? Jesus Christ. Stupid phone. Ruined the moment. All right. First, we gotta finish primering these yellow canary walls. So let's do this. Boom. All right, we got white all over the walls.
What do you mean by that?
Very cool. Smells like fumes in here. Now we're getting started with this room. We're gonna be painting the walls very, very, very hot pink. Very good. You're getting started on taping the ceiling. And then the hard part is gonna be this room over here, because we gotta do this ceiling, all of that. You could sunbathe right there, man. Yeah, there you go. Good sunbathing spot. All right, but first we gotta make some of this room pink. Hooray! Good job, Maple, you did it. Everything in here is pink. It's all pink. Okay, well then that means that the next, watch out, Maple, you're gonna get your butt pink. Out, 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 out. All right, that means the next room is the room where the magic happens. We have to primer this whole ceiling. We'll put together the gaming chair after we put together a stool.
It's done.
Ooh, it's cushy. Oh God. Oh God. Ooh, you could take a nap in this thing. I'm like PewDiePie. All right. Ooh. Oh, there's a massage function. I don't know how to report this other than by saying something crass like it's blowing up my ass. All right, that only took us, let's find out, an hour and a half. You ready? See if I can do this. Wait, no. Oh man, it didn't work. Okay. It's actually the next day. I'm wearing a new outfit. Gonna primer the ceiling today in here. I'm by myself. All right. Before I do that though, I want to have a chat with you guys. The actual topic of today's video. I'm not gonna do it in the office yet today. I'm gonna try and paint this room green. Everything's primered and good to go, so give it a shot here. Maybe in the next video it'll be done. Well, the next video, probably not even gonna be here. But more on that in a little bit. Let's get back downstairs and have a chat. Ooh, Jesus. So we finished the chair. Hey, look at this. The new gaming chair. It's really comfortable. Feels like it's made of car seat leather. Pretty cool. Auto fold. It's got ventilation. So a couple neat things about this chair. It's got massage settings, which I'm probably not gonna use that much. It's also got heated seat setting, but more importantly, for your swamp, it's air cooled. It's air cooled, baby. I've always wanted one of those chairs, and now I finally have one. Super duper cool. I don't know where to do this chat with you guys. I'll figure it out in just a sec. I could open these blinds and sit in the chair over here. Why not? All right, so this is the series recap. I've been doing this for a very long time, and the channel is about to absolutely transform. So I think it would be fun to do a refresher on how I got to this point right now in this story. All so that we can focus 100% on the future, because I think the context makes it that much cooler. So, childhood. I'll make this part super quick. Being a gearhead wasn't a choice I made. In fact, it's probably in my blood. I mean, my first word was truck, and I am a truck driver. And my parents also let me watch the Fast and the Furious 2001, you know, the year it came out when I was like 3 or 4. I even have the original copy of the DVD. It says Blockbuster on it and everything. And man, I watched that movie over and over again as a kid. I loved the orange A80 Supra in that film. You know, I thought it was the coolest thing ever. That and the heist Civics. Then, as I started to get older, I got into things like Need for Speed. My parents got me Underground 2. And that played a huge role in me becoming more of a gearhead. But funnily enough, the game that really got me into tuner cars and JDM, like the R34 GTR, was SRS, Street Racing Syndicate, a lesser known game, super cheap on Steam by the way. That was a keystone in my development as a car guy. But, and this is the case for a lot of people, everything changed when I got my copy of Need for Speed Most Wanted 2005. The E46 M3, the GTR specifically, blew the R34 out of the water, knocked it off the podium in my heart, and became my #1 dream car. I was like 8 or 9, and it was on the Nintendo GameCube. That was my first copy of the game. I still have it. Not long after that, we started moving internationally. First to Johannesburg, South Africa, and then later Sunningdale, England. And around that time of my life, 2011, 2012, when we were in the UK, obviously I was watching a lot of Top Gear on Dave, good old Dave. I even saw a really cool special live show that they did in London. I even still have the lanyard somewhere where it says BBC on it and Top Gear. I met the original trio, Richard, James, Jeremy. They were all pretty cool. Also around this time, Need for Speed The Run had come out. And that was a really big deal. I played that on the PS3. And thanks to that game, my new #1 dream car became the E92 M3 GTS. Or just the E92 M3. And hilariously, if that had stayed the case, man, my project cars would all have been a lot cheaper. an E92 M3 build would not cost as much as an M3 GTR build, but you know, it is what it is. Also around this time, 2011, 2012, I started watching 1320 video. And, you know, rest in peace, Kyle Loftus. I would be lying if I didn't say that his passing was what spurred me on to make this video, and more specifically, just to be introspective about where I've come from, what I've done, what got me here, and what truly motivates me, what the original vision was, and if I was really sticking to it or not. And ultimately, that introspection was necessary, because now I'm making these videos, and it's a lot more fun. But 1320 video, obviously, like millions of other people, played a huge part in my exposure to American car culture, because by this point, I hadn't been in my home country for years. I did not have the opportunity to interact with American car culture, whether I wanted to or not. So watching their racing videos, the fun events like the burnout competitions, and so on, it meant a great deal to me. It was a connection to home. As time went on, and I got older, I started to actually think about what cars I wanted to aspire to get, realistically speaking. In 2013, 2014-ish, I was no longer in England, and instead, we had relocated to Singapore. I can't remember where specifically. We were near Grange and Orchard Road. We were like in the heart of the main city, like close to like Takashimaya and stuff like that. By the way, if you're ever in Singapore, you should get Tori Q. It's freaking delicious. Or look for sake sushi, that's another good one. And the Hard Rock there is super good too. It's a great country for food. But you know, Singapore, still not a lot of car culture there, to be honest. There's some, but the regulation is crazy and the taxes are nuts. The COE taxes are insane. But thanks to stuff like 1320 video, covering the 3DX Evo and Top Gear as well with the FQ360, you know, I decided that I loved the Evo 10 and I got it in my head that I wanted it as my first car. You know, it was less than 300 horsepower. You could get it in manual. It looked cool. It was 4 doors and, you know, it was an awesome platform to modify. And I nearly ended up with one. I went to Gilman Subaru in Texas and they had one, an MR. So it was the twin clutch, not the manual, but I still would have been cool with that. And they sold it the previous day. So we got a WRX, which is still cool, so can't complain about that. But back in time. It was also around this time in Singapore that I started doing my own YouTube stuff, like taking it much more seriously. I'm gonna move you guys over here. And my old channel had a little bit of car DNA in it, but not a lot, but there was some things like Need for Speed content in there. The BMW M3 GTR, the E46, also had returned to the #1 spot as my #1 dream car because for a US history paper in high school, I covered it. Its whole drama with the American Le Mans series and its engine and all, you know, Porsche and the, you know, the requirements changing and this and that. So I just started to love it even more. It was also around this time, 2014-ish, where I started learning more about Nissan Skyline GTRs and R34 GTRs and, you know, what went into importing them into the US and the whole 25-year law thing and show or display stuff. It was also around this time that I learned about M-Spec NERs and they became like my #1 favorite version because at the time I thought the M stood for Mizuno. You know, I watched lots of videos learning about all the features the car had. I'm sure you guys probably recognize the name Danox, because he's one of the Motor-X GTR owners. He probably still has it. Then in 2015, 2016, I was on the precipice to becoming a driver myself. But we were still in Europe, and specifically in the Netherlands. And so because of this, because I was about to finally experience it for myself, I was doing all kinds of research and watching all kinds of car content, especially car reviews. I would say I watched a ton of That Dude in Blue videos, especially on Evo 10s and S550 Mustangs. I really like the S550 Mustang. And his Nessa video is probably my all-time favorite. But we also can't forget all the cool Supra builds from back in the day, you know, like the one he covered from TRC, built by Real Street, built by Jay, you know, classic 1,000 horsepower Supra. And I was still doing YouTube here and there with my friends and by myself. And I had a lot of fun with Need for Speed 2015 when it came out. You know, that game was a big deal back then. And, you know, I had gotten an Alienware as a kind of graduation present, so that was super cool. That allowed me to make higher quality content, and I got to get used to doing that. I actually still have that Alienware. I still use it today every now and then. You know, we got that in 2015. That thing lasted like a decade. Like we got the money's worth out of that. You know, amidst all of this, at this time, I was watching quite a lot of Australian car content, and I had become quite familiar with RB30 builds and the cool stuff they do over there. You know, I developed a deep respect for the stuff they do with Skylines over there and the rowdiness that you see whenever it's covered. And then finally in 2016, we returned to the United States of America. And I was still doing content on my old channel, but I was starting to get the itch to start over because I was starting to figure out what I actually wanted to do. I really wanted to focus on cars. I wanted to move away from gaming. It was also around this time I began to respect supercars and hypercars a lot more. And the McLaren P1, the LM specifically, actually became my #1 new dream car, despite it being a multi-million-dollar car. Then it happens. 2017, the Racing Joker is born. I had gotten my first car, I was licensed. It's a 2015 WRX, and man, look at my baby face. The Racing Joker. The name is inspired by channels like That Racing Channel and That Dude in Blue, but instead of using the word that, I decided to go with the, because I am the one and only Racing Joker. I even documented learning how to drive manual with my dad.
No, I've never gone in reverse before. Oh, I have now.
I eventually got it. I watched all kinds of videos. The main one that made a huge difference was a how to drive manual video series made by Matt Farah, The Smoking Tire. And thanks to him, I was able to learn how to rev match pretty quickly. But that said, I smoked the clutch on that WRX twice in the first year or so of learning how to really drive manual good. I abused the snot out of that car. And it took a little patience, but the channel eventually hit 100 subscribers in 2018, which was so cool. And I gotta tell you, I was having fun with it. I really was. Then in 2019, I truly began to understand what kind of content creator I wanted to become. In 2019, I discovered Daily Driven Exotics, specifically through their original Japan content series. And it was around this time that I decided that I absolutely loved the Huracan Performante and Viola Pacife. And then around the same time when these videos came out, I just immediately adored the Aventador SV. I still to this day prefer the SV over the SVJ. And this was a big deal. In my heart, my channel became, again, still a way for me to document my journey as an automotive enthusiast, but it would also be about my journey of working towards what I had once thought was unattainable and not worth aspiring for. You know, all my life I told myself, hey, you know, control yourself, limit yourself. Your dream car is the E46 M3 and the R34 Skyline. There is no point in dreaming about Lamborghinis and McLarens. But then I decided, that's stupid. Even if I never achieve it, I at least need to give myself permission to want it, no matter how crazy it is. So I started to aspire to own things like Huracans, Aventadors, Skylines, and M3s. I'm still probably going to go GTT with the Skyline, but that's kind of more of a principle thing. I just don't think GTRs are worth that much. But anyways, then I hit 1,000 subscribers. Then I hit 9,000 subscribers, then 10,000, and then 20,000, all in the same year. I was doing it. I could actually do this. And, you know, this all kind of comes from, I had made a few videos about the BMW M3 GTR and the Too Fast, Too Furious Skyline, and my channel just started exploding. You know, I couldn't believe it. I'm a YouTuber. So I was like, all right, you know what? Let's take this seriously. So I got an Epidemic Sound account, started paying for the music, and I decided to start vlogging. And it was a little rough at first, but vlogs have always just been my favorite content to do. Near the end of 2019, I went to my first Cars and Coffee event, which was so much fun. You know, it was huge. You know, the ones in St. Louis, they would host it at the Gateway racetrack. I had even begun modifying my Subaru. Everything was going great. I had no complaints. Then in 2020, the world ended, but it's okay because I hit 30,000 subscribers. And I got a new camera, the one that's in my hand right now. I had done more mods on my car. I actually even went on a car rally just as a camera guy, thanks to the boys over at Habibi Motorsports and Need for Speed Club in St. Louis. But then in 2021, once again, history is made. I got my 2006 E46 M3, a car I had wanted since I was 8 years old. I finally had it at the age of 22. I had in my hands the keys to my dream car, or at least the foundation of it. And, you know, the channel was still doing all right. One of my videos had even hit 2 million views. 2021 was also the year I got my CDL and became a truck driver. I even made a pretty good study guide in GTA 5 on how to get your CDL.
I dropped my controller and I blew up my truck.
And then 2022 was the last big explosion of growth for the channel. 40,000 subscribers, awesome. 50,000 subscribers, great. 60,000 subs, insane. And then it kind of stopped. But I was doing pretty cool stuff. I was driving over the road, I was writing and editing my first science fiction fantasy novel, and I was still having a good, okay time making content. But I will admit, I kind of started to document my journey as an enthusiast less and less. And the channel really started to go off topic. But stay with me, it gets good. Becoming a truck driver really made me competent on the road and gave me an awesome skill set. Driving was always important to me, but thanks to my profession, I was able to take it much more seriously. Then 2023 comes around and we hit 65,000 subscribers. Hoorah! This year was cool because this was the year I finally got my first piece of the M3 GTR puzzle, the first part, the very long awaited and very expensive carbon fiber prototype airbox off of a GT2 car. But then in 2024, well, 2024 is the year that I guess the forces that be decided my origin story didn't have enough hardship because my health began to plummet, I was overweight, I was overtired, stressed out of my brain, and I got into a single vehicle accident on the interstate. Now, luckily, it wasn't super serious because it was basically a syncope episode brought on by blood pressure problems that caused my brain not to get enough blood, and so I blacked out. But before that happened, because I could tell something was wrong, I managed to slow down the truck just enough that it could go into the ditch safely. The truck didn't even get totaled, which is good because the alternative was me hitting some concrete supports of an overpass, and that would have killed me 100%. And then a lot of wild stuff happened because no one gave me a sobriety test at the scene of the accident, so I couldn't prove I was sober post-accident. My entire license and CDL was taken away. I had to get both back. The state of Illinois made me spend tens of thousands of dollars, forcing me to sell my own house to pay for it, to be cleared medically to prove, with the help of neurologists and cardiologists, that I just needed to be on blood pressure medication and start losing weight. And even after that was proved, they still continued to harass me. But I got my CDL back, and you know, I was 300 pounds then, I'm 238 now, and I'm still losing weight. And I left Illinois. You know, the state continued to harass me even after I did everything they told me to. I got cleared, got my CDL back. I had to go back to CDL school. So I decided to give the land of Lincoln the finger and get the heck out of there and take my family with me. And so now we're in Washington, where there's no income tax and no emissions testing for cars, which is cool. And it's also prettier here. Remember, the #1 thing to do in Illinois is leave. And also, I previously lived here in Washington as a kid, so I had a reason to choose here anyways. So now, that was 2024, this is 2025. 2025 began with the M3 GTR getting transported to 2M Auto Works for that final M3 GTR transformation. And I moved to my dream state of Washington. And we hit 68,000 subscribers. And now here we are in 2026, and well, I finally remembered that this channel is supposed to document my journey, and that's what I'm gonna do. But I felt like this rewind was necessary because I definitely lost my way. I started playing way too many video games. I started covering all sorts of topics that just don't matter, and I put my dreams on hold, which is stupid. So I apologize to you guys, and I apologize to myself for just being plain dumb. But hey, this is it. The next video is going to be the unveiling of the M3 GTR. As of me recording this video, it's being transported. Today, May 11th, and it's scheduled to start wrapping on the 26th, and this video will be posted well after that, which means I might even be filming the car in California right now as you're watching it. But hey, as always, if you're new here and you're not subscribed yet, be sure to fix that because you'll like what I got planned. I'm Tom the Racing Joker, and I am proud to say that once again. Seek peace, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.